Really excited for the next guest. Made it his mission to push positive and funny Latin content across various social media platforms. Curly Velasquez is here, and
Yes.
I just asked you if we could do a social media video, so we have to come up with something really trendy.
I usually do a lot of storytelling where I just talk about my family, or chisme, as we say, which means gossip. You know?
Right. Which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to not do like too many wild things. I try to keep it wholesome and fun and share parts of our culture and our family, always.
What does your family say about some of the content? Are they ever like, wait, that was supposed to be a private conversation?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, but that's what people like. I feel like, I feel like we live in a world where everything seems to be so polished all the time, and it's so boring. I always say that, like, the age of the influencers kind of dying out because we want to see people who are real, like dealing with real things. I hear, even if I talk to my friends that are moms, right, like they get embarrassed to show what their house looks like with the kids making a mess, or if their kids have a dirty shirt on and they're like, they get shy to post it. And I'm like, but that's so normal. Like, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see, like, I mean, maybe people want to see like a beautiful house and like this fake life, but I'm like, show the real you. So yes, my family's like, oh. My mom, my poor mom, she does that messy bun thing.
Oh, I
like,
love it.
I mean, who doesn't do that? But she's like, oh, girl, why are you putting that on TikTok?
She's like, well, what about your grandma? I know that a lot of people like the videos with your grandma.
Yeah, so my grandma and I started filming videos almost like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And
is that when you started?
Yes.
Okay.
I started online 11 years ago, and then slowly she started to kind of go through dementia, and she just passed earlier this year.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so thank you for that. But our content went from being like, she was very crass and would make a lot of dirty jokes, and she never really lost that, even in her dementia. But the content has always been super wholesome. It's always been about family, dedication, and it's interesting because even sometimes when the mind is kind of going somewhere different, the heart and the spirit never forgets who you are. So my grandma would sometimes think that I was like a boyfriend that she had. She thought I was her best friend at one time. And she would forget my name or make up names for me and be like, oh, Rigoberto. And I'm like, that's not my name, but I mean, in my head I said that's not my name, but I would just play along. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
What was some of the reaction you got from people? Because I feel like you're right when you talk about real content, and that's real content, but that's also a different way of looking at something like dementia.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm getting the chills thinking about it. I mean, it's such a real thing that so many of us deal with. Some of us will inevitably deal with. It's an ugly part, but it's like when you take a step back and you can really see the humanity in somebody, right, outside of the day-to-day mundane things, and you can realize that life is so short, and you go, it's actually the mundane that I should be celebrating. It's actually those small moments. Like I would record her folding my sleeve up, just her grandma hands, and I'm like, that is just, those are the small things that you don't think about, but they're so important when you don't have them. And it kind of puts life and death into perspective as well, because, you know, not to sound morbid on a day like this, but like there will be a time where we won't be able to be here, right? And I think being able to enjoy it and be like, but in this moment we are. And I think dementia and seeing my grandma kind of gave me that blessing of like truly living in the moment and wanting other people to be like, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do the best that I can today with my time.
What a great message.
Yeah.
That's an amazing message. You also are going to have this amazing message and your amazing self at an event coming up. Let's talk about this.
So we have I'm Salvadorian, I'm Central American. I rep hard for Central Americans. I rep hard for all Latina, Latinx, Latino people. But one of the things that I'm super proud of is being Central American, because we often get left out of the narrative. And there's an event called Chev, which is a fun way of saying cool. It's thrown by Solvi's Who Lunch by Cynthia Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, they've come on before.
Who is a queer woman. It's very dope. It's thrown at the LGBT Center in Hollywood, and it's an open, friendly space for us to see different parts. Yes, and for us to see different parts of our culture. Artists, singers, poets, dancers, which has always been very important, because I think that in media, a lot of people of color oftentimes see themselves as like narcos, like people who are, which is, you know, these things exist in our culture, but we're also singers and doctors and you know, all these amazing things. And so if you want to come check out a really dope event, bring your family, bring everybody. We'll eat, we'll dance, we'll make some jokes, and we'll have a good time.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. We're out of time already.
Thank you for having
you're
us.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations
Thank you.
to your content. You're actually sticking around.
Yes, we're
for
gonna
What's
play.
the Buzz. We're gonna